Hi, it's Wednesday, and that means it's time for another video edition of Widower Wednesday. I'm Abel Keogh, author of the book Dating a Widower, and today we are going to discuss how reminders of the past distract us and stop widowers and others from moving forward. Now, the idea for this video comes from a recent dinner conversation that Juliana and I had with a widower and his new wife. They had just been married a few days. They were stopping through town and they had dinner with me and Julie, and we, by the way, had a great time hearing their story, learning about the little miracles that happened along the way that got them together. And, of course, they were newly married and very happy. And it was fun to hear their story, how they moved forward and things like that. But during this conversation, the widower shared a story that I want to share with you. And by the way, I'm sharing this story with his permission. But he shared a story about how Mother's Day came around. And it was interesting to hear how Mother's Day had a negative effect on him. And it wasn't necessarily the day, the fact that it's Mother's Day and his kids don't have a mom. It wasn't necessarily that had the negative effect on him. But he said on Mother's Day, something happened that he didn't expect. And that was he got a lot of text messages and phone calls and saw some social media posts how people were thinking about him, thinking about his kids, wishing them the best on Mother's Day, thinking, well, what can I do for you? We're thinking of you. We're thinking about your loss. We're missing your late wife, things like that. And it was interesting that how those kind of just pulled him out of the present and the progress he had made and really pulled him back. It turned what he was just expecting to be kind of a normal day or a somewhat normal day into this day that was very hard emotionally and very challenging for him and his girlfriend. Now, they obviously worked through it. Things were fine. But it was interesting that he talked about how the intentions of these messages behind the people, and by the way, I should mention this was the first Mother's Day that they had without their mom. So, the loss is fresh. It's on people's mind. And he did think that the intentions of the people sending the text and calling him and, making the posts on social media were well intended. He doesn't think that anyone was out there trying to sabotage his relationship or do anything like that. That wasn't their intent. But just the constant reminders of his loss, the constant reminders of the past, people just saying, oh, we're thinking about you, we feel sorry for you, blah, 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 how that just had a very negative effect on him. And he could just kind of feel a lot of the progress and things that had been made over the past months and weeks. It was just kind of drained away in a matter of hours because there was just these reminders of the past. Now, he worked through it. It was a good kind of learning experience, by the way, for both of them. They figured out how they needed to communicate and work through the day, and it ended up being, I think, overall a positive experience. But he really described it as being a punch in the gut. And he also mentioned that if he wasn't in a serious relationship, and how these text messages and reminders, they probably would have had a very different effect on him. They probably wouldn't have been seen as a punch in the gut. It was more just, oh, people are thinking about me. This is great. But because his frame of mind was in such a place where he was really focused on the future with this woman, these things came back and just kind of punched him and pulled him out of the present. Well, kudos to the widower for realizing that these things had a negative effect on him and being able to deal with it. But I think the lesson from his story is that how the distractions of the past really affect us. And they may not, it may not be just one day. The first anniversary, her date of death, her birthday, those can kind of be emotional challenges, and I understand that. But I think well-meaning distractions from others or just things in our home, how they can really pull us back. So, for example, I talk to people all the time who are dating widowers or who are widowers themselves, who, again, there's items of the home everywhere of their late wives. There's photos, there's her car, there's their phone, there's social media posts and other things from people who aren't moving forward or aren't emotionally in the same place as the widower is. And it's interesting just to note how these distractions really affect people. And I don't think necessarily it's a punch in the gut where you wake up and maybe you see a photo of the late wife or you go out to the garage and see her car. It's not like a constant punch in the gut. But I honestly believe that you add up these distractions and there's a subtle effect that pulls you back and makes it harder for move forward. I can't tell you the number of widowers I've talked to over the years who finally clean out the house, they clean out the closet, things like that. They just put, they pack away some of her things, they give away a lot of her things, they donate it, they throw stuff away, and the result is such a positive thing. It's like a weight is lifted off their shoulders. And I think there's an emotional aspect to going through and cleaning it out, but they talk about how the house feels like a new house, how they feel like they kind of are ready to start a new chapter because there's not these constant distractions out there for them. And I think the lesson is you really need to do a gut check here and figure out, are there things in your life, or are there people in your life that are stopping you from moving forward? And again, people may not be intentionally stopping you from moving forward, but are there things that you are doing? Are there things that you wake up and see, and maybe they don't quite register, but there's a constant reminder of your loss? And again, it's one thing if you're not dating or not in a relationship, these things I think have a different effect on you. But when you're ready to open your heart and you're trying to start a new life with a new person, I think these combined things of like photos and knickknacks and clothes, cars, phones, whatever, have a cumulative effect and hold us back. So I think kudos to the widower for overcoming these distractions and being able to move forward. But I think really the lesson here is for all of us is what is distracting us from moving forward and starting a new life and starting a new chapter with someone. And it's important to eliminate those reminders of the past and those distractions. Not forget, again, people are going to say, hey, well, you want to forget about the late wife. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if there's things that are pulling you back and distracting you from moving forward, it's time to put those in a box, to put them away, so you can really, really concentrate and move forward with the new chapter of your life. And people who do this, you'll see the results of this widower had. Again, he is recently married. He was very happy. He and his new bride were happy. And again, based on the challenges they'd overcome and the way they learned how to communicate, I think they're going to have a great future together. So if they're watching this, again, thanks for dinner and thanks for the great conversation. And also thank you for the reminder, eliminating distractions from our lives so we can concentrate on the present, think about the future, and move forward and be happy. I'm Abel Keogh, author of the book Dating a Widower. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. If you want to schedule a coaching session, there's a link down in the bottom to do that. And I will see you all next week.